Thursday lunch meeting for the Rotary Club of the Woodlands. My name's Denton Florian, your humble president, and it's a great day to be here. Why don't we start by thanking our greeters, Debbie Klein and Jack McGill. Thank you guys for greeting everybody. And Dr. Dan Hannon is going to give us our invocation and our pledge.
Please join with me in your own way and let us pray together. For the natural wonder and scientific discovery and the human creation, we praise you, gracious Lord. We ask your consecration upon this gathering of Rotarians who are dedicated to putting service above self. Mindful are we, Lord, of our fellow citizens of Louisiana and Mississippi as they face a storm. We feel their pain and pray for their recovery. Now bless us, encourage us, and send us forth that we may build a more loving and caring community. This we pray in your divine name. Amen. Amen. Join with me in the pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please be seated.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see everybody here. We have a great speaker today and a great lunch, and look forward to hearing what Senator Creighton has to say. You know, I was looking up some information about our club just to get a better idea of who we are and to let you know who's in this club. And we have people in our club from the fields of education, from the fields of medicine, finance, law, architecture, hospitality. We have clergy, film and media, small business, aviation. We also have a number of veterans here, veterans that we're going to be celebrating in a more deliberate way, a more formal way, and in a month or so. Michael Moore will tell us about that. And is Teresa in here? Teresa, are you here somewhere? I think it was Teresa that told me we have something like 20 Woodlands hometown heroes that are members of our club, which is amazing. I don't know how many there are, but that says something about our club of all the hometown heroes that we have that are members. We have people in, one of our members was the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, the most powerful committee in the United States government. We've had an Olympic gymnast and many people who helped George Mitchell build this place, founders of the Woodlands. So if you're a guest, you're in the right place. And we would love to have you as a member here. I also looked up, I neglected to say this, and I was just looking at the countries. You know, members of our club are from Canada, Mexico, Venezuela, Germany, Kenya. Did I miss any?
U.S.
California, thank you. Appreciate that. We have had a few of those refugees. Conroe, Judy said. Oklahoma, well, come on, we don't. That's like Egypt, isn't it? Okay, but let me tell you something, that's not unusual for Texas. Texas really is the melting pot of the melting pot. We have, if you were to walk among Sam Houston's campfire back in 1836, you would have heard every dialect, every language. There were people from, really was a very, very diverse place. And if you walked among those campfires of our early settlement here in Texas, before Texas became Texas, you would have been surprised at where everybody came from. So we're glad to have that kind of representation here. We recently were invited to submit an item into the township's time capsule. We're doing our own time capsule this year, which Gower was going to come up here and tell us about a little bit. But the township, I found out, to my delight, is also doing a time capsule. And our club was invited to put something in that time capsule. And I think we're one of only 2, maybe 3 organizations, outside organizations, that were invited to do that. So that says something about our club, and it was a real honor, and we're delighted to be invited to do that. So we had a build-a-bed thing this past weekend. I think we built, how many Gower? 60 what? 68 beds. Our teams, our people helped the Sleep in Heavenly Peace teams build 68 beds. No kid sleeps on the ground in our town. You want to change somebody's life, build them a bed. Isn't that amazing? And we're two, there's, I guess September 21st, there's going to be a delivery exercise, and you can talk to a policing, Natalie. She's out front in the red dress, checking people in. Natalie Sikowski-George would love to plug you into Haley Elementary School, where we're teaching kids how to read and helping teachers over there. Michael Moore would love to talk to you about Meals on Wheels. And we also need some help with the Montgomery County Food Bank. So if you're looking for a place to plug in, if you've been a member for a while and you know, we'd like everybody to be committed to a couple of committees, but if you're looking for something to do, we have plenty of that. And matter of fact, on your table is in that little stand-up plastic clear holder is the contact information for whatever it is that you want to do. So have a look at that before you leave, and that will tell you who to get in touch with, whether it's blood bank or mentoring or whatever that happens to be. Michael, you want to come up and give us an announcement?
Good afternoon, everyone. Real quick, the November 7th date is around the corner. We have 57 days to luncheon, so if you don't get your guests in, you're going to miss out. So 57 days for your guests, or have them register. Also, if, I know this is a big if they have a uniform still that they can fit, unlike myself, we would love to have them wear that uniform or their covering, whatever military service that may represent. That would be awesome. We have nailed down mostly all of the guests and individuals who are going to be a part of it, so we just want to make sure that we get a correct head count. So if you will, make sure that your guests get signed up. Meals on Wheels, we're still looking for red badgers to join us in that. It takes roughly about 30 minutes to deliver 10 meals. They're all in one building. They're roughly, 30, 35 minutes, so that would be awesome. It will touch your heart and you will get a good feel from it. So make sure that you can see me and we can talk a little bit about that as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Come on.
I'll try to keep this brief because I actually have several things to announce. You may have noticed when you walk in through that there is a sign-up sheet for Rotary, the YMCA Dragon Boat event on September 28th. We're still looking for people to sign up. Lead on that, and I've left some information also at the front desk. We not officially partnered, however, though, there is actually a fundraising event for Gold Star families, and it's a monument fundraiser certified into the veterans side of things. It's actually in Tomball, and I've added that to our events calendar for September 14th. The other thing which is on the front is our time capsule. So we're officially now looking for suggestions for what to include and where to place the Rotary Club of the Woodlands time capsule. So you can scan the QR code, or I've left several of these blank, and I'll collect those at the end of the meeting, and I'll input those into our information. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Joe.
I only have one thing to announce. I feel like I'm slacking off, you guys. So if you are new to the club, interested in joining the club, or still have your red badge, I won't mention how long it's been, you can come to our next newbies meeting. It's on October 3rd. It will be directly before this meeting, and we will cover all of the committee options that are available to you as Rotarian. We want to get you plugged into the right committee for you. So if you're interested in either to your existing committee, or if you're a new member who needs information on the committees, or if you lost the sheet that I gave you.
Thanks, Dan. Two announcements. 2 weeks from today is your last chance to order our book. There's some forms on the table. If you have to fill one out, please fill it out and you give it to me or leave it on the table and we'll collect it. Howard Hughes was one of our gold sponsors, and as Denton said, they've invited us to put one of our books into their time capsule. So we're asking all the past presidents, if you would, to see me and sign your page. So I need to get a signature of each of the past presidents on their page, if you can, before you leave today. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Bob. Judy?
So I'm happy to announce that we have started collecting money for our Ben Franklin project. That's the project where we're going to ask each Rotarian to donate at least $50, and we're going to invest it for 50 years. So we've already collected about $1,200. I wanted to let you guys know, if you would like to pay by credit card, Jeff can send you a link to pay by credit card, but you'll have to cover the merchant card fees, which would be about $3. If you bank at Wood Forest, you can contact me, and I can probably arrange for you guys to transfer the money from your account to the Rotary Foundation account. So just let me know if you want that option. We do not have Zelle or Venmo as of now. I know we're a little behind the times, Craig. I saw that. But we're working on it, and we're hoping to figure something out. But just let me know, and we'll figure out how to extract your money from you. So thank you very much.
Judy is good at that. Evan, you're up.
All right, thank you. All right, a few announcements. One, it's hard to believe we're already at this point of the school year where we're starting to form our Student of the Year committee. If you would like to be on that committee, please just see me, shoot me an email, a text, whatever. But yeah, we're going to start that planning kicking off in December, so that's always a fun event. The other is I have flyers for Into the Woods. The committee has put together partnerships, with several local businesses who have done a lot of give back events. So there's one actually next Thursday at the Reading Boutique. It's a sip and shop event, and they have glam bags, they're calling them. But I have some flyers for that if you're interested. And the final announcement is, of course, we have Into the Woods coming up Friday, October 25th. In this room, but the whole room. And we're expecting about 300 guests. We've raised over $70,000 already in donations, actual sponsorships, in kind, etc. So that'll be a really fun event. And this year, of course, Into the Woods has been adopted by Rotary. So all funds raised will go to the Rotary Foundation in a special project for guests to use. So that's again October 25th. Tickets are $150. It includes 2 drink tickets, all you can eat buffet, music, dancing, and a great time. So hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thanks. So you all, it's a little early, I know, but this is our 50th anniversary, and we're going to be throwing just the best gala ever. So thanks to Will Warren last year for providing our premier sponsor, and TDCU. We're looking for that premier sponsor now. So if any of your businesses would be interested, it's going to be a great year to do it. So please let me know. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Cindy. We're going to have a great gala this year, and as most of you have heard by now, that Judy is collecting money for an endowment fund that we're going to donate some money and tuck that away for 50 years, and we ought to have a substantial amount of money, or the club will. I don't expect I'll be around, but 50 years from now, we're going to do some good things. And then our time capsule. What an exciting project that is. Thank you, Gower. Gower's doing a great job thinking through where to put it and what to put in it and that kind of thing. So if you want to be involved in that, please contact Gower. Our secretary report. Where's Matt? Come on, Matt.
All right. Thankfully, we have a lot of guests today, so hang in there with me because I'm going to have to run the room. I didn't spot everybody. So it's Juan Carlos here. We'll start with you first.
Thank you, Juan Carlos Martinez. It's the second time that I come. Dad has invited me today, pastor of the Woodlands Reformed Church.
And he's submitted his application for membership. Please get to know him. We need more preachers in this club.
All right, we're diving it up on the invitations. I think we've got somebody right there. All right, I guess Natalie Gertz, Matthew, he's up. All right. Where are you? See, I'm going to be running back and forth today.
Hi, I was a
involved in Rotary when I was a teenager and never came back. So now, 35 years later, I'm here to get the lunch and to hopefully join up. Truly believe in the values of Rotary, always have. I own Ducky's Mobile Detailing, which is a high-end detailing company here in the Woodlands. And we also have the contracts for Champions Fitness Clubs in the area. So if you're a member over there, you can use our services. Otherwise, you can go to duckysclean.com and schedule us to come to your house. Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. And then Terry Brown, I'm going to let you handle it from here.
I have two wayward daughters of the Woodlands here. This is, girls will stand up, please. They're here for their 20th high school reunion for the Woodlands High School. This is my daughter, Lori Brown, and this is Anna Krogan, formerly Anna Pliska. Lori, as I told you all last year, joined the Rotary Club in Minnesota, in Minneapolis last year, and she is now on board for them. And Anna is past president of the London Club, now living in Sussex, right? So welcome them if you would, please.
All right, thank you, Terry, and Jessica and Steve.
Hi, Jessica Hart Steinman. This is my dad here. He luckily just moved up to the Woodlands a couple months ago, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, I'm Steve Hart, retired from ExxonMobil. We live down in Westview, and as Jessica said, we just moved up here to Woodlands to build a house here, so it's great to be in the Woodlands. I've been a Rotary twice through the years, once in Baytown when I was with ExxonMobil Baytown Refinery, and then once up in Village, Montana. So I know about Rotary, and you all do a great job.
All right, and then we'll go back to the other side. Velvet has a not-for-profit she can talk to us about as well.
Hello everybody, my name is Velvet Dove. I have the GLAD Foundation. What we do is we pay it forward. We send kids with blood disorders to camp around the U.S. I found out about the Rotary through Patsy. She's actually my CPA, so she's like, oh, go see it. And I was like, okay. So, Velvet Dove with GLAD Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Senator, can I leave you to introduce your guests? Okay. And then Asim.
Hi everyone, I'm Asim Ali. I am the Director of Student Life at Fusion Academy in the Woodlands. It's a small private school here in the Woodlands. It's a one-on-one based learning, so there's one teacher, one student in the classroom. So they really get that individualized education. It's really great. So I have the privilege of getting to plan events, like field trips and community service projects. So I'm actually going to be the Interact sponsor for our campus.
Thank you. Sarah and Will, I actually lost you. Sarah, oh, there you are. I just need to go back and forth.
My name's Will Perry. I want to introduce my wife, Sarah Perry, who decided to join us today.
And then we have a guest from Spain, and I don't know where Doris sat. Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Doris Green. As his name sounds so Spanish, I'm originally from Germany, and I'm the immediate past president of the Rotary Club of Madrid International. And I'm in the United States right now because I just came back from Evanston, where I'm part of the membership growth committee of Rotary International. And seeing so many new members here, I think that's the wonderful news I can just bring back to my committee in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And did I miss any guests that came in after? Okay. I guess we're done. All right. Secretary report. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Great to see such a full room today. Welcome all of our guests and everybody else. At this time, I would like to ask Evan to come up and introduce our distinguished speaker.
Thank you, Denton. All right, today I have the pleasure of introducing to you our local senator, Brandon Creighton. I'm going to read to you his impressive bio and his humble background. He was raised on a working ranch and is the youngest of 4 children. He was taught the values of hard work, personal responsibility, and the importance of faith. Brandon put himself through UT Austin, working as an electrician's helper at Texaco Chemical Plant and as a policy advisor in the Texas Senate. Prior to running for a seat in the Texas House of Representatives, Creighton worked as an investigator for the Texas Attorney General and as a brief writer for the Oklahoma Attorney General. As a member of the Texas House, Creighton built a reputation as a fiscal conservative and a champion for pro-growth, pro-business policies. In the Texas Senate, Creighton has continued his work for a strong future, including delivering balanced budgets, authoring pro-taxpayer legislation, and passing Senate Bill 7, the most comprehensive flood mitigation plan in the nation in response to Hurricane Harvey. In 2022, Creighton was appointed to lead both the Senate Committee on Public Education and Higher Education, joining 2 consequential committees to advance bold reforms for the future of Texas and ensuring the next generation is prepared for a 21st century economy. He also serves as a key member of Senate Finance and as a member of numerous committees, including Business and Commerce and Jurisprudence. Please join me in welcoming Senator Brandon Creighton.
Okay, I appreciate that. Everybody hear me okay? All right, we've got a good crowd today. It's good to be with a bunch of Rotarians and back from Austin. Certainly in our communities, just good to be home. We were in the Texas legislative sessions last year, more time than any time since 1871. And so I'm going to talk a little bit today about not only is that terrifying, no, I'm just kidding with you on that, but we want government there less than more, right? That's how our founders set it up for Texas. It's very different than Washington. And it was designed in our process for us to be there 5 months every other year. And isn't that fascinating for this great state that is now, depending on different metrics, some say 8, some say 9, largest economy in the world for Texas itself on its GDP, not the rest of the nation. So larger than Brazil, larger than Germany, larger than Russia. I could keep going, but the GDP for Texas is very important. So what we do in the Texas Capitol, how we advance pro-business policies and make sure that Texas is still a state where you can start a business in your garage or your kitchen and still have a fighting chance of being successful. You'd be surprised how many states across the country are no longer in that category. So very important that we have that mindset going in to each individual legislative session. We entered in January of 23. We were supposed to finish at the end of May, and we left in mid-December. So instead of 5 months, it was an 11-month session, and I can rattle off a lot of the things that we were addressing in these very difficult times, but obviously high inflation, that has an effect on our school districts and all the costs related to state government, including building our infrastructure forward, roads, transportation, airports, rail, ports. A lot of the things that we work on as a partner with the feds to make sure we're ready to turn that corner. I chair the education committees in the Senate. So last session I was a rookie education chairman, moving up through the ranks in the Senate on budget and on different committees related to our regulatory framework, including the Texas electric grid. So I'm going to say a few things in my update that's going to be a 30,000-foot overview because I'm trying to provoke a few questions. Bruce Tuff, if I can get people to maybe throw a few of those at me while I'm up here. And no, I always like to give Bruce a hard time when I have a microphone because he gives me a hard time with or without a microphone, right? So it's such a privilege to represent you in the Texas Senate. It is a very rough and tumble environment in politics in general these days, if you haven't noticed, right? And in Texas, maybe some days we make it look easy with a lot of the focus at the federal level on the different media networks and foreign policy and economic policy, and with the presidential election coming up, on and on. But in Texas, as it is with all the other states, we have jurisdiction over the feds, especially over the feds with our independent electric grid. Other than Hawaii and Alaska, we're the only state that has its own grid. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the challenges with the grid, but also the strengths and what we're doing lately to make sure we're ready for the future. And that ties into AI, Bitcoin, and also data centers that are all moving to Texas. And I can tell you they would not be moving to Texas if our grid was not strong, because they need more water and electricity than any of us in the legislature ever imagined. I'm going to share some of that as we move through a few of my updates. Last session, January of 23, Governor Abbott, after traveling the state for a year and a half that we were not in session prior to that, established some emergency items. Emergency items are very important for our Texas legislative process because, again, our regular session is 5 months out of every 2 years. And in those 5 months, we cannot consider a bill, go to committee, vote a bill out of committee, go to the floor of the Senate, debate it, or vote on it until the 61st day of that 5 months. So think about that. That leaves us roughly 90 days to handle the business and prop up with the tools and resources necessary the 8th or 9th largest economy in the world. So those emergency items that the governor establishes, super important because we can get on those day one. So what were they? Border security, the Texas electric grid, still COVID recovery, and some policies that were even at that time in January of 23 from March of 20 holding businesses back on certain frameworks and certain decisions that were made during those unsettled times of the pandemic. And then education reform, including school choice. So lifting up our public schools like never before with unprecedented funding. Standing tall for our teachers, not just on unprecedented compensation and pay raises, but bonuses, support in the classroom, validation from administrators, and freedom from liability to actually teach and maintain a reasonable learning environment in that classroom. Think of students that are disruptive all the way to a violent propensity student, right? These are the things that we work on along with reforms. And so school choice as a reform, money out of the surplus, basically a rounding error of less than 1% of the equivalent of what we put into public schools for funding. 40,000 education savings accounts for special needs and free and reduced lunch kids. That made up 60% of that funding framework. We would be the 32nd state in America to expand school choice options for moms and dads. So Governor Abbott established those as emergency items, and we went to work. We had 12,000 bills filed during the session. Here's something you won't read in the Chronicle. In the Senate, the Texas Senate, in that incredible building that opened in 1888, where 2 of Sam Houston's daughters' weddings were held on the Senate floor not far from where my desk is. Talk about history, right? In the Texas Senate and in the Texas House combined, we had 12,000 bills filed. In the Senate, we have a center aisle. But we don't divide ourselves from party. You get what I'm saying there? Republicans and Democrats sit together, mixed all through the Senate floor, not separated by an aisle. Out of 12,000 bills filed, there were 50 bills that both parties did not vote together on, including the impeachment acquittals of a Republican Attorney General. Didn't read that in the Chronicle either, right? It's amazing what it does for us as legislators and our delegation to be able to come home and visit and talk to the community direct, because the media does us no favors on presenting without bias. And I would say, both sides are guilty of that, but, I would extend a little bias in saying they're guilty of promoting one side over the other. So when we come home, it's our job to explain ourselves. Did we have a balanced budget? Yes. Did we protect the rainy day fund? Yes. Did we have a $34 billion surplus while California was minus $65 billion on their budget? Yes. And why would that be the case? Interesting. Maybe that'll be one of your questions. Exactly. But it can still be one of your questions. So as we're working on that $34 billion surplus, we have to make decisions quickly, right? The clock is ticking. It's not Washington. When the clock strikes 12, most of our sessions, when we go to Austin into the Capitol, expire at midnight on the 141st day. And only if the governor extends us into a special 30-day session, that's only if, we're done. So with a $360 billion budget, which on Senate Finance, I'm in charge of Article 3. It's the Article 3 chair is what it's called. We divide the budgets into chapters or articles, and mine is education. Texas is only one of 12 states in America that puts over half of its budget into education strategies. You don't ever hear that in the Chronicle as well, I don't think. 12 states in America put half of its budget or more into education strategies. We would be one of them. So what is that? That's public ed, that is our 2-year and our 4-year universities, and that's our workforce components like Texas State Technical College in the Waco area or Lone Star here, that really have no peer categories on how they train our workforce. They are not the best in Texas. They are 2 examples of the best in America. And that is incredible for what we should all be proud of, living right here in Montgomery County and in the Woodlands, knowing that we have those higher education opportunities where half of the students in Texas and adult learners pursue a community college route, either in total or at least first, as they work to obtain a certificate to a trade or a skill, or they're working on establishing course credits to transfer to a 4-year university like I did. I grew up in Montgomery County, had all the love and moral support for sure, but my dad wanted me to establish and learn a trade and a skill, and then once I did that for a year, and I worked under probably the toughest journeyman or boss, as they're considered in the history of the world. I went on from there after learning to be an electrician and a pipe fitter at Texaco Chemical Plants, now Huntsman, to the University of Texas at Austin. Got a job in the biggest air-conditioned building I could find, which was the state capitol, right? And I set my fireproof orange coveralls aside and my blue hard hat, and I bought a suit and a bunch of ties and a few different colored shirts, right? Guys, we have it easier, it's just that kind of a deal. But I learned a lot, and I did not do that then to do this now. I needed a job, and I just knew that we are on border security. And remember what I mentioned before, 12,000 bills. We had 50 or less that didn't have both parties voting together, including on the budget, which is the only bill that we have to pass out of the 12,000. And we had both parties voting together for border security. Why is that? Is because from a safety aspect, and as Myra Flores would explain, one of the first Republican Latina congresswomen in the Valley elected, that it is nothing short of abusive to allow what's happening to those that are trying to find a better life here in this country to be taken and rerouted and retraded on the dollar amounts that they pay to even be escorted here, they're told. and then many of them disappeared. Many of them are used and abused. And from 13 to 19-year-old girls and boys, the trafficking aspect of what's happened on our open borders over the past 3 years, and this is DPS-cited information, right, and triple verified by other accounts. The cartels made more money in 2023 off of human slavery or trafficking than drugs for the first year ever that we've been recording. That is a very, very troubling statistic, right? Because one of those individuals alone is worth fighting for. The media plays a lot of games about border security, but I can tell you that bipartisan sheriffs from South Texas come to the Capitol and beg us for help. That's double taxation. It's not our plan to put billions of dollars into border security because it's a federal responsibility, but we also take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution and the safety of all Texans. And we can just hope, as we've been successful in the past, to sue the feds for reimbursement, and we have won and been paid in the past in other categories. So stay tuned on that. Back to education and the grid and water and flooding. We have many, many concerns that affect us right here, right? We had members of our Woodlands Township that are here today visit my hearing in Business and Commerce recently that to testify on CenterPoint's performance or lack of during Hurricane Beryl, right? CenterPoint has a protected monopoly, basically, in what otherwise is competitive markets for providing electricity. And their CEO came in to our hearings, and it was a rough day. So CenterPoint serves 2.7 million Texans. Entergy, which is like a cul-de-sac coming from other states into Montgomery County, as its endpoint, serves roughly 3 million individuals, Texans and Americans. My district is a unique perspective on power supply and what the state of our grid is, because there's a split in the boundaries right there. I literally have a 600-bed hospital on I-59 where the parking lot is served by Entergy and the buildings are served by CenterPoint. So you can imagine on day 4, where medical is supposed to be the highest priority for reconnect, and that 600-bed hospital was still down or running on ancient generators that just had no business even being used. We had put money, billions of dollars, into policy that would allow our natural gas-fired electric plants to buy temporary generators, big ones, on trailers that are transported, right? Well, CenterPoint really got in hot water because they spent more than any other utility in the state on those refundable items that they get money back from the state on, but they bought generators that were not movable. And that was never any intent from any hearings they were in, the intent in the debate, in the Senate Journal, in the House, on and on. That is very, very troubling when we have nursing homes, elder care facilities, and hospitals that should be the first reconnected. So what are we doing about that? Well, we're clawing back the money that they were refunded on for that generation as a start. And then next, we're putting immense pressure on them before January to submit crisis contingency and preparedness plans so that we know they've signed off on it in blood, that they are married to those plans, and that the accountability side of things will come down on them very heavily if there's ever a next time. Those are only 2 examples of about 15 different punitive efforts that we have going, but really the most punitive will be considered when we come back into session in January and bills are filed. Will bills be filed in this same category? or do we need to restrict their coverage territory or reconsider their monopoly? These are the things that we'll consider in our public hearings. Entergy wasn't perfect, but their communication was outstanding. And we all know that in any relationship, that's key, right? They were dialed into our elected officials. They were dialed into service-oriented activities to help the public that were disconnected. And they were present on the ground, including their CEO. Centerpoint on day number 4 put elected officials on a call after going dark on us for a good part of the storm, and then on that call, we were not allowed to ask questions. That is not allowing those that regulate these utilities to serve our districts. I have 1.3 million head coaches, and I'm the team. You can imagine in this talented community how many opinions there are on how to solve a problem, right? And I'm a good listener. And I'm also, I talk slow and walk slow, but I'm considered to be someone that can hold my own in debate on the Senate floor. I had 32 hours of debate myself. I think I led in all debate hours last year, just advocating for the bills that matter most to us. But when it gets local, narrowing in from all these big issues that I've mentioned, flood control, the river authority, litigation from cities in this county against the river authority, right? How we move forward on a big infrastructure and replenishing and replacing and strengthening dams and bridges and key infrastructure that we have. We have a statewide water plan that's revered all over the nation. It's been in place for many, many years. Our statewide flood plan is 5 years old. And we're working on that statewide flood plan with our surplus money to invest in that along with broadband. Broadband and our investment in that infrastructure is equivalent to building interstate freeways in the 60s. It's going to take some time and it's going to take a tremendous amount of investment. Last session we had a $34 billion surplus. We had $200 billion in awesome ideas. It's easy when we don't have money in the session. As a budget writer, I can tell you, because let me tell you folks, we don't print another trillion when we're in a bind. Right? That's why the Texas economy is what it is. We balance our budgets. We do the best to invest forward. Again, we have great working relationships. Outside of what you hear, we have some troubled days, right? We have the statewides picking on each other. We have election fights, all of these different things. And that's a reflection of these different opinions that we have, right? There's probably, a difference of opinion in the Democratic caucus on the purity test of what a Democrat should be. There's the same in the Republican caucus. It's fascinating. Right? I'd say in the Republican caucus, and I've led the caucus, there's probably 5 different Republicans. At least 4. Center left, center right, further right, and a more of a true libertarian mindset voting record. That's at least a few examples. And it's interesting when you stand there in a line and you're talking about like who's more conservative. Well, the person to the right of you is crazy, but your voting record's perfect. Everyone at the table has the best idea. And wouldn't all the Texans that we all choose from among 32 million of us go to the Capitol and say, look, I've just been to the Woodlands Rotary. We've got this. We know the best solution to A, B, and C issue. But when everyone at the table has the best idea, it's difficult. But we have to negotiate through that in a very compressed time frame. Remember, our founders demanded urgency. That is the difference between what goes on here and what goes on in D.C. Urgency and $600 a month pay, so we will not hang out long. And we don't get stock tips. So all of these different things combined, it's healthy. And then I'm supposed to come back. You can get me by the lapel and say, I like what you did here, here, and here, but I really just can't understand how you made these decisions over here. So help me with that. Or if you can't help me with that, I'd like to interview some others. That's the process, and it's very healthy to be closer to people. And that's hopefully how you look at the Texas legislature, and especially after today, knowing that Sheila in my office here with us today, and Ivan, the back of the room, they're the most service-oriented people you can imagine that work on your Senate District 14. Our office is right by Black Walnut, right by the township, on the second floor of the building in that same parking lot, and that's your office. So where are we going forward? And then I'll open it up for questions. Many of these same issues. The border issue is not resolved. We've got to maintain safety. And just as you would ask for anyone coming to your home, you're welcome, but please use the door. That is the border security plan. Please use the door. We have to know, I have to know for my family who you are. We've got all kinds of other support that's as philanthropic as anywhere in the world. And we've always been the place for prosperity and a new life. Always. But if you're not using the door, there's something wrong. We had to commandeer Shelby Park and Eagle Pass with 5,000 crossings a day because 67 on the worldwide most watched terrorist list were passing and caught in that park. We don't know who we didn't catch, but at 5,000 a day, times 365 days a year, times 4 years in a presidential term, let's say we're at 3 and some change now. That is incredible math, knowing that the highest numbers have been in the 400 to 500, 550,000 range total. And not 3 million a year, right? And we have to know from a safety perspective what we're working with because we owe it to you. We have to explain to you why we're not keeping you safe. We've got a lot of examples there. So I want to go to questions, but I can tell you that Texas stands out among the states. When I travel to 2 summer conferences that legislators hold, and they come together from all over the country, I'll present an education-related bill to 4,000 or 5,000 legislators as a Texas model, for instance. And time after time after time again, they say how proud they are of us for taking a stand and how much they model their bills and their legislative efforts off of us. Florida is mentioned as well, right? And that's how it was designed. Abbott and DeSantis, they have a cool little competition going or whatever, and that's healthy. But I can tell you that we feed off of the success and the comparisons of our competitors, and we want businesses to come here. We want a prosperous economic environment, and we're going to continue to push for that. Back to that $34 billion in surplus, and I'll finish with this. We used sales tax money, consumption tax money, to buy down local school tax rates. For 300 school districts in Texas, we effectively abolished the school tax, which is about 2/3 of a family's property tax bill, because of the homestead exemption increase and also using sales tax money to lower your local school tax rates. And I think Conroe ISD, over the past 3.5 years of us doing that, have lowered the tax rate, probably 10, 12, 13 cents. That's a big deal when you factor the value of your home times that savings. It is a very big deal, but the culture, the budget culture behind that is that we are using consumption tax and prosperous economic situations in Texas to return that to you. And yes, we still have rising appraisals. We've got 3 elected officials on the appraisal review board for the first time ever. That is a victory from our last session that Metcalf and I and others worked on, and it took us, by the way, almost a decade to get that passed. There is a coveted mentality there, regardless of party, on revenue, obviously, always, right? But Montgomery, Williamson, Fort Bend, Collin, Denton counties have what almost every other county does not. We have an exploding growth pattern. We have incredible commercial and residential valuations. And we have what Ross Perot went after in the 80s, a Robin Hood situation that we are working to wean ourselves off of. And as long as we're prosperous, we can wean ourselves off of Robin Hood, get those school taxes continue to be brought down, and continue to work on appraisal valuation hits like our counties face. But all those other counties in Texas, especially those that don't touch a major interstate, many of them are losing their tax base. People are moving out, not coming back. People are not starting businesses there. They're declining. If you're not a school, a Walmart, or a car dealer, you might consider moving towards a bigger city or an interstate. That's just how a lot of Texas is trending. And that is the battle. That's the property tax battle. Is the worst kept secret is that revenue redistribution is something that we're in the crosshairs on as a county like Montgomery. And the 3% appraisal cap I file every session, I'm lucky to get a hearing on it because they don't want the conversation. If I get a hearing on it, I can't get it past that point. Because again, schools all over the state, 1,200 school districts are depending on it. So with that, I want to open it up for questions, and I'm just so thankful to be here with all of you.
And you may not address this, but I think one of the things that's coming about getting things done, and a lot of it involves is you speak, you talk about is possibility of
Absolutely. So the question is about the other side of the building from me, the Texas House, where I served for 8 years. I served as the House Republican Caucus Chairman over the largest Republican majority in the country at that time. It's a different day in the House, a different speaker. There was the speaker is a controversial subject, and I won't be voting, obviously, on his candidacy or any others. I know there are others that are running. That is a very retail type of a campaign that's not across Texas. It's among 149 other House members. And the Speaker of the House has a choice to rely on the Democratic caucus as a big voting bloc and then some other Republicans, or to say we're going to decide this in the Republican caucus. That is unknown to be determined. So that's the extent to which I can speak on it, because I just don't know what those decisions are going to be. But I know it'll be one of the most competitive speaker races we've seen in 25 years. Well, I carry one of the heaviest bill loads in the Capitol, definitely in the Senate, and there's 31 of us over on the Senate side of the building. I can't get my bills to the governor's desk on issues that we care about related to electricity or flood mitigation or a school safety training center that's in East Montgomery County that the entire state's law enforcement is hoping that we get accomplished, so that in these days of concerns about troubled students and violence in our schools, that we won't be traveling anywhere for the type of training we need. We'll have the best of the best right here. All of these different things that I send over to the House, it matters to me who's in leadership. I can tell you social media does us no favors, because just as we see among the public, right, there is a quick reaction to not getting your way. And the building's full of AAA types, right? And so responding to that letdown or that missed expectation, that retrade, that double cross, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is of the day, it's politicians going after each other immediately on social media. It's very counterproductive. It's every bit third grade, and we have to get away from that and be bigger and better. I assure you, I handle myself in a very, very different manner. Yes.
So question, I agree with you with what you say about immigration. If you want to come to the board,
yes,
as an student, I agree. The thing is, for the ones that might responsible immigration, and we are already here. What are the thoughts about speeding up different processes and just allow us to work? Because we come here to work and contribute to the economy. So, for example, in my case, it took me 2 years to get my authorization. So, what are the thoughts to speed up those processes and just let us work?
It's a great question. For those that couldn't hear him, for those that are coming here with the best of intentions to start a new life, to gain employment, to support their family, to work towards citizenship, how can we streamline the process to allow those individuals to go to work faster? We're gonna, this answer is bland, right? We're gonna have federal immigration reform, and with Congressman Luttrell, right, that is in office now. Crenshaw and Luttrell split Montgomery County among many other counties they serve. I held a summit recently in Montgomery County with Congressman Luttrell on exactly the issues you bring up. And he was positive in his new committee assignments and on both sides of the aisle, the conversations he has been having about true reform to the immigration system, right? And that's what is going to be needed for those work status opportunities that can happen faster. And I'll be fully supportive of that. Yes, back here in the back. Yes. Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. We're talking about not only center point, but the infrastructure and how much of it is above ground. And keep in mind, much of the underground power during Hurricane Beryl was disabled. So it happens above ground and underground as well. You look at the Dallas area, they've developed in a way that is much more underground, community by community, than the greater Houston region. Dallas has done that over time, but we have an opportunity to invest in certain big infrastructure. You picture the transmission lines that are gigantic and the big pipeline right-of-way easements that spaghetti bowled and went down during the hurricane. We have opportunities to help invest, but we need CenterPoint to be a good actor, right? If we pass a bill where they get 100% reimbursement for generation that they provide for hospitals, let's say, and they use the money that's 100% reimbursable to them for something other than what they said they were going to use it for, that makes the state very nervous about investing in them for the future. We have to have trust rebuilt. Now, the public sits and waits on that. So some of our big infrastructure initiatives will be tied to investment in underground electric. But Houston, a long time ago, and I'm talking about the 13-county MSA, went a different direction based on cost, based on the amount of timber we have, based on no zoning. A lot of different things went into why the North Texas Metroplex has more underground than we do. And that's a slow roll, especially knowing that we're putting big money into broadband right now. Could there be a dual effort while we're laying that fiber and that broadband? Maybe so. But there's different stakeholders involved there, different easements, legal nightmare. That is like, I'll switch it back to the border wall. Right now, we are negotiating ranch by ranch by ranch for right-of-way for the Texas border wall that you all are paying for. Well, one ranch might have 11 heirs, 9 of them are lawyers, hardly any of them are speaking, and they want $30 million for an easement that probably on 3 appraisals average would be 200 grand. So if that's the case, and it's not really important to even the landowner to be secure, and we're not actively from a political standpoint using condemnation like we would on a highway, a dam, a pipeline, anything else for safety and for progress to make sure that gets done, then why would we spend $5 billion of your double taxation money on a wall that's going to have 8 football fields a gap? So I'm carrying a bill again this session that provides the state with eminent domain authority. It has it for office buildings, for the entity that's handling the border wall, but they don't have eminent domain authority for a border wall. We're trying to negotiate that in a friendly way, but I'm carrying the only bill that will allow us to truly connect a sequence barrier that will, at least in the hotspot areas, push more of that migration towards the port of entries. Last question. Anybody else? Thank you all. Judy, I'll catch you after. We've gone too long, but I just can't thank you enough for the time today. It's a blessing to represent you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. How about another round of appreciation for Brandon Creighton? Thank you. And a fellow Longhorn, I might add. Got to get your digs in when you can tip. Where am I? John, quickly are going to have a drawing and possibly a joke. I hope it's good.
He's bad.
John Sanderson, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, the timing on this one is really, really good. By the way, we raised $70 today. Thank you guys so much for that. And we have a gift card from Kay. And also, the Eisler family has donated some tickets to Theater Under the Stars for next Thursday. So, you got 2 of them. So, Brandon, this is my interview. Why California is broke and Texas is not. So the governor of California, let's just call him Gavin, is jogging with his dog along a nature trail. A coyote jumps out and attacks the governor's dog, then bites the governor. The governor starts to intervene, but reflects upon the myriad of nature movies he's seen and realizes he should stop because the coyote is only doing what's natural. So he calls animal control. Animal control captures the coyote and bills the state $200 for testing it for diseases and $500 for relocating it. He calls the veterinarian. The vet collects the dead dog and bills the state $200 for testing it for diseases. The governor goes to the hospital and spends $3,500 getting checked for diseases from the coyote and getting his bite wound bandaged. The running trail then gets shut down for 6 months while the California Fish and Game Department conducts a $100,000 survey to make sure the area is now free of dangerous animals. The governor then spends $50,000 in state funds implementing a coyote awareness program for the residents in the area. The legislature spends $2 million to study how to better treat rabies and how to permanently eradicate the disease throughout the world. The governor's security agent is immediately fired for not stopping the attack. The state spends $150,000 to hire and train a new agent with additional special training regarding the nature of coyotes. Finally, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, protests the coyote's relocation and files a $5 million suit against the state. The governor of Texas, let's call him Gregory, or Greg for short, he's out with his dog along a nature trail. Coyote jumps out and tries to attack him and his dog. The governor shoots the coyote with his state-issued pistol and continues on. The governor spent 50 cents on a 38 caliber hollow point cartridge. Buzzards ate the dead coyote, and that, my friends, is why California's broke, Texas is not. To the tune of 34 million surplus and 60 billion, whatever. Okay, the winner. If you could get your tickets out, please. Last four numbers, 5275. 5275. There we have a winner. Yay, very good. Thank you so much. So, that was my interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. All right, if everybody would stand up, we'll close with the four-way test. What a great meeting. Wonderful to have everybody here. As we traditionally do, we close with our four-way test, and the first one in everything that we think, say, and do, is it the truth? Second, if we are all concerned. Third, will it be better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And for our club, is it fun? Magic of Rotary is the theme of the year. Go out and do the right thing. We are adjourned.
Great job.